Welcome back to Big Nick's Meats and Treats. Today I'm going to do a rack of pork. What is a rack of pork? Well, it looks like a rack of lamb, but it's a rack of pork. It's basically pork chops that are still all in one piece and they haven't been separated. I bought this at Costco. It came with 8 bones. That's way too much meat for me and the rest of the command staff here at Big Nick's Meats and Treats. So I cut it in half so I only have 4 bones. So I'm going to cook this very similar to the way I do pork chops. I'm going to put it in a brine and get it ready to smoke on the smoker tonight. So let me get it out of the package. We'll see you in a minute. All right, I got it out of the package. As you can see, it's basically bone-in pork chops all in one big roast. It's got the nice look of the bones and everything in here. So I'm going to go ahead and cook this very similar to the way I do my brined pork chops. If you look back at my other videos from about 1.5 years ago, I did brined pork chops. I'm going to use the same brine, which is apple juice, water, brown sugar, salt, and red chili or red pepper flake. So I'm going to take a 1-gallon freezer bag, put the rack of pork inside there. And I made the brine last night and I let it cool in the fridge overnight. And then I'm going to pour the brine in on top of the meat. There's black pepper in the brine too. You'll have to go back and look at the other video to see exactly how I did it. And then I'm going to Ziploc this. And you want to do this probably 6 to 8 hours before you're going to get ready to cook it. And I'm going to put this in the fridge now for 6 to 8 hours. I'm going to smoke it tonight. I'll be using my Grilla Silverbac and hickory pellets tonight, and we'll see you at dinner time. We're back at it, and we're ready to put this thing on the smoker. It's been sitting in the brine for about 7 hours, and it's just the last couple things we need to do before we can get it on the smoker. First thing we need to do is get it out of the brine and rinse all that brine off, okay? You want to make sure you get all that brine off of there, because if you don't, it's going to be super, super salty. So just want to rinse that all off. Get all that brine off. If you noticed, I had the pork in a bowl with the brine because several years ago I had a disaster in the refrigerator when the Ziploc bag didn't stay Ziplocked. So do it in a bowl and you can thank me later. Okay. Next thing we need to do is put a little bit of seasoning on this. I'm going to go super easy on the salt and super easy on the pepper just because I already had it in a salt-based brine, so I don't want it to be too salty. So I'm just going to go super light. I don't want to get too carried away. Same thing with the pepper. I bought these battery-powered grinders off of Amazon. They work pretty good. So like I said, super light on the seasoning. You don't have to get too carried away. And I'm going to start it off on the smoker at 250 degrees. Probably do that for about 25 minutes because I just want to get a little bit of hint to smoke. And then I'm going to crank it up to 325. So we'll take her out to the smoker and we'll see you in a minute. One last thing I'm going to do before I go put it on the smoker is I'm going to put my meat probe in. I'm using a thermopro temp spike today. This is reads the temperature of the meat as well as the ambient temperature of the smoker, and it's perfect for prime ribs and big hunks of meat and stuff like that. So I'm going to put that in there, and that'll tell me the ambient temperature and the temperature of the meat. And let's go get it on the smoker. All right, our smoker is warmed up and ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. And like I said, I'm going to run that at about 250 degrees for a half hour, get a hint of smoke on it, and then I'm going to crank it up to 325. Now let's go inside and make an apricot glaze. So I'm going to make an apricot glaze that we're going to put on the pork when it's just about done, and we'll put it on there. It'll caramelize for 3 or 4 minutes right before it's done, get amazing flavor. So to make that, I took a fruit jar that's empty. I'm just going to mix it in that, and I'm going to take 3 tablespoons of apricot preserves. Come on now. You can use whatever type of stone fruit preserves you want, peach, apricot, whatever. It all goes good with pork. So I put 3 tablespoons of preserves in, 2 teaspoons of stone ground mustard. This is German style. I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of that. 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. And some black pepper. Put the lid on there. Give it a shake. Get the tongue out. Makes it work a lot better. Okay. And then there's our glaze. We're going to put that on the pork when it's just about done and give it some amazing flavor. We'll see you in a bit. All right, our rack of pork is done. It took about 2 hours. Like I said, I started it at 250 for about a half hour and then cranked it up to 325, and I was going for an internal temperature of 150. So about 5 minutes before it got done, or when the internal temperature was 147, I put the glaze on, and then I let it cook for about 5 minutes on there until my internal temperature hit. And it looks fantastic, and man, does it smell good. I can hardly wait to get into this thing. All right, I've had it resting for about 10 minutes. So let's cut into this thing and see how she looks. Got a big bone in the back end there. There we go. Oh yeah, real nice, super juicy. Nice color, really nice. I can't wait to dig into this thing. Man, this looks amazing. So I'm gonna cut off a chop here. Try this out. Oh yeah. Let's give this thing a taste. That looks really good. I'm anxious to try it with the glaze. First time I've used that glaze. Oh my goodness, that is so good. It is so good. You get a nice sweet hit from that glaze, a little bit of tart from the mustard. The pork is just cooked absolutely perfect. It's so tender. Super affordable too. I got an 8-bone rack at Costco for 15 bucks and I only cooked 4 of them, so we're $7.50 into it tonight. This weekend I'm going to be doing brisket burnt ends, so make sure you check that out. Give us a like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And until I see you next time, watch me work, baby. Watch me work. Brown sugar, salt, and red pepper flake. So I'm going to take a 1 gallon. Oh, shit. All right, our smoke was warm.